What's happening now across the Niagara frontier? News stories, old stories, stuff you know about and stuff you'd never believe. It's the Niagara Hub Soapbox with Craig Avery.
All right, today, welcome. We have Jason Zona. Jason is the 5th District County Legislator.
Yes, I am. First term.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. And
thank you for having me.
Jason has wandered by the hub a few times and shared some what's going on with us, and we thought maybe we'd have him come in and tell us what's happening. There's an election coming up. You're running for re-election.
Yes, in my first term right now. The terms are only 2 years, so it's already time. Feels like we just did this 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you get through your first year on the legislature, start learning the ropes, go through your first budget, and next thing you know, first the year hits and it's time to start running again.
Yeah.
So, but we deal with it.
Explain to me the borders of the 5th District. Like who can count on you to represent them in the county?
It used to be, when there were 19 legislators up through 2011, my district was all, where I live in DeVoe, the entire district was city. And there was 5 seats in the city alone. They redistricted in 2011, cut the legislature down to 15. They redistrict every 10 years. So obviously we had Niagara Falls lost 1 full seat, and technically a half a seat now with mine, because my district now is all of DeVoe. I slide up the river, Whirlpool Street, pretty much all the way to the Spolino Towers over here. And then I have the east side of Hyde Park, which used to be Dennis Virtuoso's area, and then the entire town of Niagara. So geographically, it's a very large area, and so it's a lot of walking, a lot of meeting different people, a lot of different groups. But it's been a good learning experience so far.
Cool. But being a lifelong citizen of Niagara Falls, you're familiar with the area, and a firefighter.
Well, my first 6 years, I worked on Ontario Avenue, so I covered pretty much I did cover all of DeVoe, and then all the way up Whirlpool Street, and that east side of Hyde Park was covered by the engine I worked on there. So and I grew up, my parents in fact still live on Parkview Drive. So I grew up in that Hyde Park area. That's where all my friends were. That's where I played baseball and football and basketball. And now I've been in DeVoe for 10 years. So I couldn't have asked for a better drawn district when they did it. And it was actually the opposite party gerrymandered the lines up how they wanted to do it countywide. It just happened to work out for me, and that was my first year running. So it made things a lot easier.
What caused you to run in the first place? Let's start right from the beginning here. What's the scoop?
You know what? I was never really politically involved up until about 2007. A former legislator in Niagara Falls, Jason Caffarella, is a co-worker of mine, out of the blue decided to run. We were crewmates, and he asked me to help him with his campaign, and we just drew an interest from there. He stepped down in 2011 during the redistricting, and I just figured this was the perfect timing to do it. And most importantly, especially in county government, is there's always an angle. People are looking, why do people run for office? Why do they get involved out there? They're looking for something. And it's probably why we're the mess we're in. One of the reasons we're one of the highest tax counties in the entire country is it's a big political playground. Everything's pay to play out there. And one of the things I'm able to do because of my job, won't leave my job. I love working for the fire department. I'd love to do another 15 or 20 years, as long, it's a physically demanding job. As long as your body holds up, I love the job and wouldn't leave it. So this is, for me, is something I can try to help get things done in Niagara Falls without having to worry about who I'm pleasing. Just do what's right for the district, what's right for the city, what's right for the county.
What kind of items have you covered lately? I know that you got involved with the landlord.
That was a big issue. Started beginning of the year. For anyone that doesn't know, the Landlord Association wanted to see some changes. The county, through the Social Services Department, when we have money that comes from the state that's used for low-income residents. Essentially, it's part of the welfare system. Vouchers, they call it, for housing assistance. Now, this isn't Section 8 or any federal issue. It's a local issue. And the money in the past would go right from the county to the tenants that live in these housing units.
For rent.
Well, they're supposed to be for rent. Essentially, the problem was what the landlords were having is people were getting this money and not using it for rent. They're using it, could be for food, for clothes, for drugs, for whatever they choose to use it from, and then they wouldn't pay their rent. So now the landlords are out the rent. They have to go through the process of evicting people. Houses were damaged. The landlords aren't getting paid. They're not putting money back into the housing units, which it's just a downward spiral it's been part of the reason a lot of the neighborhoods look the way they do. So the Landlord Association, along with Community Development, Seth Piccirillo, came to the legislature. Now, from what I understand, they met with state officials first. The state officials basically told them to go talk to the county legislature, which they did. They came, sat down with myself and Dennis Virtuoso, and asked what can be done. And this was a long process. We did research and came up with an idea to do this as a direct pay system. The money goes from the county directly to the landlords. The amount they get, it's not it could be a couple $100 each month.
Right.
It's not the full amount of the
toward
rent.
their rent, maybe half, if anything. Okay.
So they would use this money. Like I said, it would be meant now the landlords are getting the money directly. They're paying their taxes. They can do repairs to the properties, the upkeep, make them nicer neighborhoods. Essentially, it's a win-win all the way around. The families aren't getting evicted now. They're staying in these units. Children aren't getting uprooted, different schools on a regular basis. It was a win-win. We had some hiccups along the way on this. Politics, reared its ugly head in this matter, but we were able to get around it, and it was, like I said, I think it was a very important resolution. New county law was passed, and we did it without state intervention, which was, and I think we're realizing now sometimes we don't get the most accurate information, and you have to do your own research on these issues, and in the end, you can get to what the truth is, get to what the real laws are, and do what's right for the area. So we did that. We took the Landlord Association shortly after that. We've had regular meetings with them, came back again, and now wanted to do essentially housing inspections now. Now you'd think, why would the Landlord Association want the county inspecting their units? Well, because they're trying to look out what's best for the overall area. They want these units to be up to code, up to par. So it just went through committee, I believe, last month, and it's been stalled there again. There seems to be some issues again with state laws on this. So we're researching that again. I think the entire legislature is on the same page with this. If we could do this, let's do it. But we have to get around a lot of the issues with the state, and a lot of it comes from New York City interests. So
well, that's great. The county then has really served as a good conduit.
It is, and essentially it's the start of some welfare reform. Now it's the lowest level. Now a majority of the welfare are state and federal. There's laws that govern this, and there's very little. The county, they want us to pay. So they send us the bill for Medicaid, social services, and we pay the bill, but we're not generally allowed to change the rules. So if we can, on a small local level, start to set the example, we're going to start sending regular resolutions to Albany, asking them to start changing some of these state rules. It's time. The welfare is out of control in this area. The abuse is rampant. Statewide and Medicaid alone, it's billions of dollars.
Sure.
You could close the state budget gap with just eliminating Medicaid fraud. That's how bad it is. But again, you need the state to do their job and fix the system, which we've watched for the last 30 years in New York State. Is probably not going to happen.
No. Well, that's excellent. As a matter of full disclosure, none of the money distributed to these tenants went toward the Niagara Hub for advertising. So we never got any advertising money from any of the tenants in these matters. So we're clear on that investigation. So that's a good thing. But that's a great example of what, because people say there's so many levels of government. What does the county do? What does the city do? Well, people bitch at everybody.
The county, the big thing is social services, the county jail, Medicaid. Medicaid takes up over 20 to 25% of the entire county budget goes to Medicaid.
Wow.
So, and keep in mind, that's only 25% of the total cost, because the feds pick up half, the state picks up a quarter, and the county then picks up a quarter. Now it's leveling out some. I believe this is the year, in fact, in our budget we're getting ready to start next month, where the numbers actually start, the skyrocketing increases now start to level out, because 3 years ago some of the laws that were changed on the state end. But they got a lot more work to do. If you ever went through the Niagara County budget and saw how much is spent on Medicaid, essentially the county budget is about 20%. We actually control the spending each year. There's not a whole hell of a lot that we can,
Wow.
but we have to do a better job of managing the 20%. We have. You can't. The playground has to end at some point and being more responsible with the county dollars. We tried to do that. Again, that was my first budget last year. Fortunately, Dennis Virtuoso, been around 22 years. He did an excellent job training myself, Owen Steed, on the budget. We went through line by line, 300 some pages, going through the 2 books, and you learn where the waste is, and we have to do a better job controlling that.
Cool. Let's turn this into a political commercial. What things are you going to want to look at if you are reelected? What are you hoping to do? What are you going to provide to your constituents? What can they help with you? Whatever.
Well, there's a lot of issues going on right now. If I'm reelected, one of the things again I'm going to fight for in this year's budget is no tax increase. I have no idea. We were told last December by the budget director right off the bat, as we passed the budget in December 19th last year, for next year you're already looking at a 3.5% tax increase based on the AES power plant pilot, along with contractual issues with the county employees and Medicaid costs. They already knew right off the bat where we stood. Now, we'll see what happens. This is an election year. There's contested races all over Niagara County for the first time in years. There's a lot of members of the majority that never had races. So we'll see what happens with the budget next month. Are we going to see a different, where they're not going to propose a 4% increase right off the bat that we have to try to chop down? Will it be lower, and maybe we can get a decrease out of this, because there's millions you can cut out of this budget in waste, like I said. So we're going to do that again this year. Last year we proposed 20-some resolutions. Over half of them were actually passed, and the ones that were all passed were resolutions that were put in by the minority in the legislature. So we're proud of that. We were able to push issues through that saved the county taxpayers, property taxpayers, a good chunk of money last year. And you got to start there. Start with the budget. We're going to be looking at more welfare reform measures. The IDA is always a hot button issue. Everybody knows the situation with the IDA. Now, where the county legislature fits in with the IDA, we appoint the members. So essentially they're their own body. We've sent them another thing, myself, Dennis, and Owen Steed had passed over the summer was some IDA reform measures. I'm sure everybody's heard about the issue with the Guatemalans working there at the Green Pack site. They had an IDA pilot. Local workers are not being utilized, and we have illegals from Guatemala working there. Okay, now I understand the IDA can't monitor, but you know what? We have to put something in place that if they're going to actions like this, we pull the pilot if we have to.
Yeah.
We have to get more involved in the day-to-day operations of the IDA. They give the second most pilots in the entire state of New York. I think next to New York City. I mean, come on. Is every one of these needed? There's a lot of issues there we're going to have to sit down on, and a lot of that falls under the Economic Development Committee, which is what I sit on this year.
Oh, great.
Whether I'm there next year, I don't know. But
Okay.
so there, like I said, there's that.
What about issues of bringing Lockport and Niagara Falls a little bit closer together?
That's actually gotten a lot better.
Has it? Can we send the tourists east and let them explore our tremendous resources in this area? And
That's one of the issues that I know, obviously everybody knows about the issue with NTCC we went through with their contract. That was a eye-opening experience for me. I learned a lot about NTCC during that time. Started having regular meetings with John Percy. They invited the legislators in for a forum at their new building on Rainbow Boulevard. So we were able to learn a little more about what the NTCC does. And one of the things they are doing is pushing Niagara County as a whole, from the wine trails to Fort Niagara to the locks in Lockport. There's actually a lot of things people are interested in when they come in here, other than just seeing Niagara Falls.
Sure.
On my end, personally, for my district and my city, there's none bigger than downtown Niagara Falls. The very first issue I got involved in after I was sworn in, Seth Piccarello was new to city government at that time. I got involved with him working on a lot of these downtown neighborhood revitalization issues, the Live NF program. We spent a lot of time on Elmwood Avenue in Buffalo. It's one of my favorite areas to go. You know what I'd like to see? That right out here.
So you had to go to Elmwood and research this?
Well, we did a lot of research.
Every night?
No, not every night, but especially during the summer. I have a 2-year-old daughter. I spend a lot of time there with her. I'll take her down to Elmwood, walk the street, get a cup of tea, a muffin, whatever. I love shopping down there. And I don't, in a smaller scale, we can do this in this area. Sure. It's set up perfect here. We just have to get around the politics and the nonsense that goes on in the city and county. So between on a county and city end, we started meeting regularly with the Economic Development Department of the county. Excellent group, non-political. I think they should be having more of a hand in not just Niagara Falls, but other municipalities. It's part of the issue of consolidations we should be talking about. On a separate issue, I sit on the Consolidation Committee. They put an ad hoc committee together. As the member of the minority, I was appointed to that. And we've only met once, but I think we're already there on the wrong track of what we should be doing consolidation-wise. You're talking about administrative positions county-wise, that salaries over $100,000, another $20,000 to $30,000 in benefits. You start slashing a lot of these positions and letting the county economic development department handle it, working with all the municipalities in the county. And I like that idea for Niagara Falls. And I think, like I said, it's a start, little bits, they're members of the marketing team were involved with us with our meetings with elected officials and members of the Elmwood Village Association. They gave us a lot of ideas of which way to go here. We just have to have the political will to move forward. You're a perfect example of someone I think that sees the potential of downtown with the amount you've invested here, and we thank you for that. And I'm hoping more people see this. Look at the future. We got to stop looking at the past. One of the things that drives me nuts more than everything is when something goes on, we say, we used to have 100,000 people living in this city. Well, there's no jobs. The neighborhoods have gone, I don't want to hear about what it was.
Right.
Industry is gone. You can do some, there's a potential for some small industry in the city. The green industries. No one wants to hear that, but that's right now what we could do. The heavy industry days are over. It has nothing to do with Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
That's
in the past.
It's
I
a
say
state.
We should start by firing the city historian. We don't need a historian anymore. And we should
He's
have
a great historian.
We should have
Volunteer.
a visionarian that will tell us where we're going to be, not where we were.
But you just said it. We need to look forward. Stop looking
There
back.
you go.
Look what we can do to start bringing people back in. And what better area? And I've said this on the floor of the legislature with resolutions the city's asked me to have passed on the county. What better area than in the entire county than downtown Niagara Falls has a housing stock already there? It just needs to be rehabilitated and get people living in it.
World-known address.
People
Businesses
have
could
to-
say we're in Niagara Falls.
I say it all the time. And
Earth.
Yes. Look in Brooklyn. I know Brooklyn's millions of people, but their neighborhoods were getting dilapidated. Everyone was living in Manhattan, Long Island City, and Queens. All of a sudden, in the last 10 years, Brooklyn, especially in the area near the Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, those areas are being redeveloped with younger people that don't want to live in Manhattan because Brooklyn's becoming the new Manhattan as far as entertainment-wise, theater, food, shopping. When I go to New York City now, I like to hang out in Brooklyn. It's actually
Cool.
it's kind of becoming the Manhattan without the towers,
Wow.
the skyscrapers. Buffalo did the same thing. You're seeing areas in Buffalo that had gone bad for a long time. Now it's starting to spread out from Elmwood into those neighborhoods in the Black Rock area, on the west side, that are cleaning up. You're seeing businesses pop up. People want to be there. Why can't we do that here?
I like it. So you're going to stay working hard, getting in there again. You're going to be knocking on doors and
Well,
pounding the pavement.
we've been working hard for the last. I started end of May.
Okay.
Started knocking on doors when the petition season started. I didn't technically have a primary. I was unopposed on my Democratic line. So my race really starts now.
Okay.
And we've got 5 weeks left. I just keep, when I'm talking to people, we talk about the issues. People know what I've done. I'm front. Everyone in the neighborhood knows me. I'm out and about every night walking. Like I said, I take my daughter and my wife around the neighborhood walking every night, talking to people, and they know what I'm all about.
Good.
I have a, you know what, I speak my mind. Everybody knows this. But I want to see what's best for Niagara Falls and town of Niagara as well. I represent the town as well, and you have the largest sales tax producer in the entire county there. The traffic, that's what's spilled over to the military road corridor. I know some people like to say it's been the airport that's changed the boulevard area. That is not the case. Everything that's going on is because of that mall.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a $60 million expansion of that mall, which is going to bring over 100 or a couple hundred full-time jobs along with the part-time jobs that come with that and the construction jobs. It's a huge project which is only going to bring more sales tax dollars, which lowers everybody's property tax costs. So I've been dealing with some issues out there with the sales tax with the town of Niagara. I was involved with their bicentennial out there last year. The air base is always an issue. It seems like every few years. So I mean, it keeps you busy. I have a very diverse, different district, but at the end, it's all about reducing the cost for the county, getting people living here again, and making this area thrive again. I think we can do it.
So you're putting out fires and many more definitions of the phrase, I guess, right?
Well, lately we've been putting out a lot of fires in Niagara Falls. It's been very busy. But you know what? I like those fires. The other fires are the political fires. They start to wear on you.
Well, stay attached, but with no strings. So that's
what
good. You keep going, and maybe we'll be looking to the future Governor Zona or something. You never know.
I'm happy just being Captain Zona right now. That's and I really enjoy the job. The biggest thing I can hope for is more people, younger people, step forward, run for office. Even if that means run against me, run for the city council, run for mayor, do whatever. I want see more people from my generation, from Chris's generation, getting involved. I'm going to be 40 years old next year. I want to see, my daughter. I don't want to see in 16 years my daughter pack up and say, "Sayonara, Niagara Falls." I'm hoping by then this is the place to be where young people want to live, and I really think we can do it. We just have to have more younger people getting involved, more people like you that are investing here in the area, and things will change.
Thing is, I thought I was the younger people. I went to a wedding. I haven't been to a wedding in so many years that this was the first wedding that I was one of the older people at. Usually I'm on the dance floor doing shout and bending my knees backwards, but no. Now I was one of the old people sitting around eating the cookies.
I know you had Vincenello here a few weeks ago.
Yes.
One of the pet peeves he has, and you can tell he gets angry about when we talk about the young people. And he always says, we want young people get involved, but you need to listen to the older generation sometimes.
As long as they do what we say.
We can guide you on some issue. And I agree, and I 100% agree with him. I love sitting there chatting and arguing with Vince about especially issues involving the city. And believe me, I listen to everything guys that have been there done. I just want to see more people getting. I'm not saying that you disregard that. I'm saying I want to see younger people willing to get involved, put their time into this to make this area a better place to be. You can't rely on our older generation to do everything. You got to build your own future, and I think we can do that.
That's great. Problem with Port Vince is you can't get any of the young generation to know what AM radio is. They don't even know what it is, let alone listen to it. So, all right.
The station, isn't that the one with the Buffalo Bills on?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's something with.
Or is it on satellite now?
The contest where if you were the 15th caller, you'd win a transistor radio. But you don't know what a transistor radio is.
I'm not. Hey, I'm going to be 40 next year. I know what a transistor radio is. I remember with the Walkman ears going around, listening to Kiss 98.5, My wife made me get satellite radio now, so and she knew put Howard Stern on there, I'd be sold. So
all news to me. I was a WKBW guy. So anyway, all right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Any last parting words?
November 5th. Let's get out and vote.
And put batteries in your smoke detectors. It's going to be...
it is Fire Prevention Month. In fact, I just came from Harry F. Abbott reading to the children there. Cool. It is Fire Prevention Month, so we'll be around to the schools. The fire department will be around to the schools for the fire drills, doing the fire prevention programs. It's actually enjoyable going around
Oh,
with different
yeah,
elementary
yeah.
schools and talking to the kids. You know, it puts you back in perspective. What my primary job.
Emery Simon used to come to our neighborhood when we'd have block parties, and he'd have his full outfit on, and he'd get on his hands and knees and crawl at the kids and say, "I don't want you to be afraid of me when I'm looking like this." And
Well,
that was pretty cool. It's a good
is.
visual.
The best
So-
part about being promoted is not having to be the guy that puts the gear on and
There you
you
go.
put the rookie down there, and
There you
I
go,
just
there
sit
you
there and
go.
talk. It works.
You got to
nice.
find a young person then. Huh?
Yes,
Okay.
there's lots
All
of
right.
you. See, now I've become the old man in the fire department. So,
All right, buddy.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks
All
for
right.
being here.